Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, August 27th, 2020. I'm Keith Tebow. This week, the Fall River City Council sends the 2021 budget back to Mayor Coogan, looking to fill all vacant public safety positions, while the school committee approves its fiscal 2021 spending plan. We talk with more local schools on their reopening plans, and it's a sales tax-free holiday this weekend. Why should you shop local? Those stories and more coming up. The Fall River City Council, during the first night of hearings on Mayor Paul Coogan's fiscal 2021 budget, ended the proceedings early, voting 8-1 to send the spending plan back to the mayor, seeking an increase in funds for public safety. Within the budget presented to the council, the city's savings for not funding 25 vacant public safety positions is approximately $1.4 million. City Council President Cliff Ponte sponsored the resolution to send the budget back to the mayor, requesting that the city cut money allocated for employee and retiree health insurance to fund the police and fire positions.
I am of the belief that this budget, in my opinion, cutting public safety, it's not something that I'm in favor of, okay?
I understand.
So, yes, that's a risk I'm willing to take on the employee insurance side, the employer trust fund allocation to make sure that our city department heads, our city is safe with police and fire. And I'm sorry if that may not be popular, it's $1.4 million. If we can't find, I'm not talking about capital projects, I'm talking about staffing levels for police and fire. If we can't cut $1.4 million out of the insurance to give to our police and fire, it's not something I'm going to be in favor of, no matter what. I'll say no to every appropriation line item in this budget. We need to staff our police and fire at the levels. We're giving our schools 100%. We need to make sure our police and fire are there. If it's $1.4 million, if that's the number, if you add those two up, that's something I would make the suggestion, even if it's after debate, to reduce the line item appropriation by $1.4 million. That's something the City Council has the wherewithal and the ability to do, but it's going to be up to you to reconfigure that.
The city's expenses are only to be covered through this Monday, August 31st. So what's the latest with the budget? We had the opportunity to speak with Mayor Paul Coogan this afternoon, and he says a compromise has been reached.
I'm glad to say that we've had multiple meetings with the fire chief, the police chief, council president, and I think we came to a resolution that will reinforce public safety across the board and even add a few things on that weren't on the budget and make Fall River hopefully a safer place to live. We were moving in that direction prior to the meeting on Monday, but at the time we had to get a budget to them. We were not done with everything, and we're not done now. I think we'll still see a supplemental budget coming forward, but we do want to make sure that we funded our public safety level that can protect Fall River, and we believe we've done that. They won't all be filled. There's some constraints we have. The next police academy starts in January, and we're already looking for seats there. The fire department, we obviously don't believe we can fill every position, but in our meeting with the Chief Lynch yesterday, he was comfortable with the proposal we had worked out to cover some of his expenses and men. So myself, Cliff, and those people met with Mary Sahadi yesterday, and I believe we came to a resolution that's going to work for everybody.
The mayor would not say specifically how many police and fire vacancies would be filled. The council will likely take up the budget at a special meeting on Monday night. Mayor Coogan added that as changes are made to the budget, there is no intention at this point to add any broad-based trash fees.
We have a unique situation in Fall River where some of our businesses get their trash picked up by the city for free. I believe there's 75 or 80 of those. And that's something we're looking at. We want to try to get that adjusted. And the other conversation we're having is in the trash regulations, 6 families and up. Are we picking up a business, which is what a 6-family is if it's non-owner occupied? Are we picking up their trash for free also? That would be our first look at the trash fees going forward. I did have a conversation with one of our city councilors yesterday down at the First Step Inn about a trash fee, but we're not there yet. And it always cracks me up in Fall River because people jump from A to Z every time. They don't look at B, C, D. It's all A to Z. And I think just if everybody just takes a deep breath, whatever we do, we'll keep them well informed of where we're going to go. But right now, we do not have a trash fee proposed in front of the council. We are definitely looking at a fee for some businesses and some big multifamily residences.
Also this week, the Fall River School Committee unanimously voted to approve the FY 2021 school budget at $169.9 million. At a special meeting of the school committee, the panel took less than 20 minutes to approve the budget, which funds local education at FY 2020 revenue levels, also meeting 100% net school spending. School Superintendent Dr. Matthew Malone says the school district is fortunate to have a budget not severely hampered by the effects of COVID-19.
This budget represents an operating budget of slightly north of $137 million, minus the local contribution of almost $33 million. When you total those two together, you get the figure, which is 100% of net school spending, which is the $169.9 million figure. This budget that I'm presenting tonight includes the positions that were added by the school committee at the last two meetings. So that was the special education positions, plus the instructional support positions for each building and one school nurse. Also included in this budget, but at no cost, was the conversion of a world language teacher and to a STEM teacher. There's no cost to that, but it's just a coding difference. All of that is included in tonight's budget. So we've restored all those line items to FY20 levels. Plus, we've added some more money into contingency, into preventative maintenance, and into potential overtime and potential contracted services for operations, given we know what the COVID impact will have on some of those line items.
Students will return to schools in Fall River on September 16th under a combination of a remote and in-person learning model. This week, students and parents were asked to pick up laptops to aid in learning from home. Denise Pumaguaye spoke to school officials and parents at Morton Middle School.
Today's our Verizon one-to-one Chromebook rollout. We had a lot of families come in today, both 7th and 8th graders and some 6th graders. Really successful, beautiful day. Some of the schools here in the city applied for a grant that would get one-to-one laptops for every student here in the city, and we were awarded that grant, so it was awesome. This was something that happened even prior to the pandemic, so this was going to happen this school year, whether we had closure or not. It turned out to be hugely beneficial that it worked out this way, because now for our families that need to stay home or do hybrid education can do so and have technology, internet, all the stuff they need. So it's perfect. Every student at Morton would get a computer, whether they were doing fully virtual, whether they're doing hybrid. So every family's coming to get one, whether they're staying home completely or not. Staff too. Staff got all new Chromebooks as well. And the Chromebook itself is a Wi-Fi hotspot. So even if you don't have internet at your house, it still works. All the schools are working very hard to prepare for what the new school year is going to look like. Every school has their own plan, because every school is a little bit unique to other schools. But we're ready and we're excited and we're really happy to see everybody. It feels like a lifetime. We haven't seen any of our kids, so we're really happy to see them and to see their faces.
We got to go to each station and see some of the educators that will be here when we come back. I think that them getting a laptop and a hotspot to help with their remote learning when they're not, in school is wonderful. This is great because now they'll be able to interact with their teachers and interact with their classmates and have a more successful learning, and it's just great. And my son, he really missed being in the classroom, so we chose to do the hybrid model, which is remote and in class. So we're really looking forward to it. So he's really excited, aren't you? Are you excited to go back?
Yeah.
We continue our look now at how local schools are handling fall reopening in the face of COVID-19. The Diocese of Fall River has announced that the 5 Catholic elementary schools in Fall River will get back to work next Tuesday, September 1st, fully in person, allowing for parents to decide if they feel their child should take classes remotely. Diocesan School Superintendent Daniel Roy tells us few parents have opted to keep their students home. He says all local Catholic schools are ready to host students and teachers in person.
And our schools have been really proactive in making sure that they have the necessary PPE, the equipment, and that they have a clear understanding of the protocols, doing trainings with their faculty, making sure that students are arriving on September 1st or whenever the start date is in other cities across the diocese, that they are arriving and that they're well informed and well prepared. It has been a summer like no other for Catholic schools and schools everywhere that have worked hard to prepare and to provide that welcoming and safe, secure environment for students and their families on the return. And you're right to point out, Keith, that our numbers are smaller, but in fact, what that allows our teachers to do is to give really special attention to students, to educate the whole person, and to create that welcoming community that our Catholic schools are really known for.
Mr. Roy says through the summer, lines of communication have been open with parents and teachers, with both sides making contributions to the reopening plan.
They've asked a lot of really good questions that have been instructive to us in planning. And admittedly, like much of society right now, folks are nervous. And so I think what we can do is, we can be communicative, we can be open about what we're doing, and we can also assure folks that we are continuing to monitor the situation. We're continuing to look at transmission levels and other important statewide data. And if we do need to make a pivot to another type of plan, say a hybrid plan or even a remote plan, we're going to work closely with our schools to make the best decision.
Mr. Roy says if circumstances change and schools need to return to a remote learning model, their experiences during the shutdown in March should be helpful in any transition.
Our schools were able to make the pivot quickly. I think that stems from our educators and school leaders and all of our stakeholders' commitment to mission, to staying engaged, to taking a personal approach, obviously within the limitations that a remote situation would allow. But our schools worked very hard at the outset because they're so committed to students and their families, to make sure that the school was staying engaged, to maintain a continuity of learning through those very difficult weeks. But I think that was something that our families appreciated, and I think it was noticed. I think it was noticed by others as well.
Atlanta's charter school will open on September 8th, with most students learning remotely and a few specialized students returning to the classroom. Executive Director Robert Beatty says there were many factors in coming up with their reopening plan.
For us, landing on the model that we landed on, it was a lot of the things that you mentioned. It was a conversation with families and with staff, availability of staff, identifying staff that either fell into high-risk categories for this virus or had personal situations that would have made it difficult for them to be able to return in person. Those same considerations for our students and families as well. We are one district on one campus, so we have kindergarten all the way through 12th grade on one campus. That played a factor, and then certainly the biggest factor has been monitoring the health data in our region.
Mr. Beatty says the shutdown in March allowed for the school to prepare students for a remote opening.
We've done a lot of work around our remote learning plan. We made a major technology purchase to make sure that we had one-to-one devices for all of our kids, a brand new state-of-the-art technology that we have been and will continue to distribute to our families as we start up, as we get ready for that September 8th start. We've been helping families with internet connectivity in the home and providing as many supports as we possibly can to make sure that our families can hit the ground running starting on September 8th.
Even with the remote learning start, Mr. Beatty says the school in the far south end of the city is ready for more students to return in person when the time comes.
We have modified the building to adjust to the spacing requirements. We've planned for sort of flows of traffic, so we won't see, even regardless of the number of students in a building at any given time and staff, we won't see hallways just sort of haphazardly crowded. There's directions that people are moving so that we're not seeing a lot of cross traffic. And then, the modifications that we're seeing at all schools, right? So schools have done major purchases in terms of PPE for staff and for students, materials such as hand sanitizer and hand washing stations and all those sorts of things. So, we stuck closely to, at a minimum, the guidance that came from the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and we've built from there to make sure that the environment there is as safe as it can possibly be.
Bristol Community College is also getting set to start its fall semester beginning on Tuesday, September 8th. Most students will be taking classes online, with some being offered classes through a hybrid model of remote and in-person learning. Dean Kate O'Hara says since March, all enrollment staff have been working remotely, but still providing students with quality service in getting them ready for the fall.
Our advisors have been fantastic in helping students navigate the different course offerings that we have. So we know we have some courses that are what we call hybrid, where there's a little bit of a limited component where students would safely come to campus for their coursework. Others are fully online. Some have times that they meet up online, and some are done sort of as they can with their schedule permitting. And so I think our advisors have done a phenomenal job of helping students pick the courses that work best for them, both in their lifestyle and what they have going on, but also with their learning needs to make sure that they have what they need.
Ms. O'Hara also says that incoming freshmen are still able to take part in a comprehensive orientation program, preparing them for college life remotely.
Our Student and Family Engagement Office developed a wonderful program, and it's a mix of making certain students have all the information they need about resources. It's also helping them understand how to be an online learner. We know many of our students perhaps have not studied in an online environment before. And so we know that's important so that students can feel confident when they're taking their online classes, that they're prepared before they even sign on the first day. So that's been a big piece. And then lastly, our Student and Family Engagement Office has offered programs all through the summer to help students engage with each other, with faculty and staff, and to get excited and get that sense of school spirit that everybody wants to feel when they're coming to campus in the fall.
With classes less than 2 weeks away, there are still opportunities for students to register for the fall, especially for those students considering taking a gap year.
It's more important than ever that people stay on track with their education during this time. I think it can be very easy to say, I just want to take a break and maybe, let the dust settle, and then I'll pick things back up again. And we just know that the research shows that that's a lot harder to do than people think. And so we really encourage, Bristol's a fantastic opportunity. As you mentioned, September 8th is the last day to apply to the college. So there's plenty of time to get in with one of our admissions counselors and talk about what it could look like to study at Bristol. We have lots of different options. We do know that there are students who had a change of plans, and that's okay. We have fantastic advisors that can help you navigate how classes that you take at Bristol might transfer back to another institution. So if you know that you're not able to attend your four-year school at this time, we can make that easy for you to stay on track and continue on with your dreams.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions on the latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. HR Generalist, PLZ Aeroscience, located at 300 Rickenbach Road, is looking for a full-time HR generalist, responsible to support the manufacturing industrial facility with employee relations, onboarding, employment, and other people-related projects. Job number 139-13429. Bartender. Pub 99, located at 404 Pleasant Street, is seeking a full-time bartender to mix and serve alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages to customers, verify ID, accept payment, and clean glasses and utensils. Job number 139-13048. Cardiac sonographer. Southcoast Health System, located at 363 Highland Avenue, has an immediate need for a full-time cardiac sonographer to provide health services using echocardiography procedures to assist in the diagnosis or treatment of various human disorders. Job number 138-90898. St. Anne's Hospital, located at 795 Middle Street, is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Switchboard operator, job number 139-12998. ER technician, job number 139-08508. Amazon, located at 1180 Innovation Way, also is in need of the following full and part-time positions. Warehouse team member, job number 139-14774. Area manager, job number 139-13955. For more information about these or other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Fall River saw a drop in their unemployment rate for the month of July. The State Office of Labor and Workforce Development reports the city's jobless rate sits at 20.7%, down from 23.2% in June. Last July, the city's unemployment rate was 5%. Fall River has the second lowest rate among cities in southeastern Massachusetts, with New Bedford sitting at 22.1%, Taunton at 19.9%, and Brockton at 24%. Statewide, the jobless rate is at 16.1%. The Republican National Convention wraps up tonight with the nomination of President Trump for a second term. Bristol County Sheriff Tom Hodgson is one of over 300 members of the Massachusetts GOP delegation. He says even though delegates could not mingle in person due to the constraints of COVID-19, they were able to assemble in Charlotte to renominate the president.
It was just a smaller version than you would normally see at a big normal convention. But we did that in person. We each went to different microphones when we announced our state votes. And of course, I'm the chairman for Massachusetts Trump re-election campaign, as well as the co-chair of America's Sheriffs for Trump. So it was an exciting time for me. It was when I read the votes and sort of gave our sort of parallel history about Massachusetts with the current president. It was great to hear the kind of excitement and applause when I announced that I was also co-chair for America's Sheriffs. It was sort of a support that I think a lot of law enforcement like to hear, given what's going on in the country right now.
The sheriff says among the issues he sees up for debate this November is how the presidential candidates will handle the funding and staffing of public safety.
I believe, and I think most Americans do, that the most fundamental responsibility of government is to keep them and their families, their neighborhoods, and the country safe. And when you begin to undermine that, you cannot have prosperity, you can't have a strong economy, you can't have safe schools, and you can't feel secure in your own home. And we can't have that in America. It undermines everything that our founders had planned for us in the way of these opportunities and a strong nation. So that's going to be probably one of the most important issues on the minds of the voters. And as I said, whether you're an independent, Democrat, or Republican, everybody wants to be safe.
For many people, this weekend will serve as Christmas in August as Massachusetts offers its traditional sales tax-free holiday. Rick Kidder, co-CEO of the One Southcoast Chamber, says shoppers this Saturday and Sunday will often see the tax savings differently than they do with sales throughout the rest of the year.
People love tax-free weekend, and one of the reasons they love it, it's kind of a funny thing. You could have a retail store that will offer a 10% off sale, and that 10% off sale doesn't bring in as many people as saving 6.5% on sales tax. I think there's that little bit of everybody that says, hey, let's make sure that if we're going to get a discount, that the small business guy gets it, not the state. And so, yes, I think it's going to be as big as it always has been, because I don't think it brought in a lot of people from out of state. It was really about local people shopping locally and supporting their local businesses.
Mr. Kidder says Southcoast shoppers, as well as those who cross the border to take advantage of the sales tax holiday, should consider the benefits of shopping in locally owned stores.
When you support a local business, about 80 cents on the dollar stays here within the local economy. There are always those purchases that have to be made outside by that retailer. But when you are going to a larger chain store or a national chain in particular, only about 40% stays here. We want to support jobs here. We want to support prosperity here. We want our local dollars to stay here as much as possible. And 2 times those local dollars, amount of those dollars, stays with us when in fact people shop locally.
We'll have more right after this.
Thank you for considering a homeless pet today. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see, and as always, please feel free to contact the shelter before coming down to make sure that the pets you're viewing are still available for adoption. We can be reached at 508-677-9154.
Welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats, and today we're meeting with Ash, who is usually pretty fluffy, but today he's shaved down because he came in, he was pretty heavily matted from where he was living earlier. He's 4 years old. He's very friendly. He loves attention and he greets you when you come into the room. He is very good with cats. He's living in another room with cats right now and he's pretty friendly with all of them. He might be good with dogs. We have to double check that, and he would be good with children as well. He's perfect if you're looking for somebody to snuggle up with or that will always be wanting attention. He's very friendly and sweet. If you want to come down and meet Ash, you can come down to Forever Paws Animal Shelter on 300 Linwood Street in Fall River. I'm sure he'd love to meet you too.
Today we have Delilah. Delilah is a long-haired dachshund. She's just over 10 years old. As you can see, there's a lot of her to love. But she is definitely a love bug. Delilah is super sweet. She loves attention. In fact, she will make it known when she wants more attention. She has a very deep, raspy bark when she wants you to pay attention to her. She could stand to lose a little weight, but that doesn't stop her from getting around. She does like to go for walks. It might not be a quick walk, but she will go for a walk with you and she'll have fun doing it. So if you're interested in Delilah, come on in over at Forever Paws Animal Shelter at 300 Linwood Street, and you can meet Delilah and make a new friend.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Our next Dinner Time With concert will feature Montage Blue. Catch them tomorrow, Friday, at 6 p.m. on our Facebook page, as well as Channel 95. Please visit our website, frmedia.org, for all the latest news and information, as well as our latest Channel 95 program schedule. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Thursday.